So the same company that could tell you that you're 2% Neanderthal by simply spitting in a tube is now filing for bankruptcy. And if that wasn't bad enough, well, now everybody's going full-on panic mode and telling you to delete your data immediately. Now, before we talk about how or why this is happening right now, I think it's important for us to understand how we even got here in the first place. So back in 2021, 23andMe went public, which is a huge move because now they have access to serious money from investors so that they can turn their little DNA test kit operation into something a lot bigger. So the CEO hops on one of those interviews where she basically says, yeah, we're super excited about the big news. Except then she started talking about what the company's real plans were.
DNA sequencing company 23andMe making its debut today and shares. And congrats on the debut. We don't get to celebrate a lot of these things, but always fun to have the CEOs on for their big day.
Listen, it's super exciting. I've always run this company, not necessarily expecting that we were going to be a public company, and it certainly was never the goal. The goal has always been really about what's the impact to the customer and how do you really make personalized medicine and personalized healthcare a reality.
Make personalized healthcare and medicine a reality. Huh? Now, when you think about 23andMe, you're probably thinking about discovering what your ancestry is, right? Like finding out that you're 10% Irish, 20% German, that you have a third cousin in Ohio somewhere, things like that. But when the CEO of 23andMe is talking about how the goal has always been to make personalized medicine and healthcare, it comes across as a little bit peculiar because now you're not just dealing with people's ancestry anymore. You're dealing with people's genetic data in a way that a lot of people didn't really sign up for or expect. See, because your genetic data can reveal a lot about your health risks. Things like your predisposition for certain diseases like Alzheimer's, heart conditions, or even cancer. And that data is incredibly valuable to insurance companies who can use it to adjust your premiums based on your genetic predisposition to certain conditions. So they can use that information to upsell you costly treatments, or they can flat out deny you coverage just based on what your genes say about your future health. And to be fair, the CEO has always talked about the idea of using genetic data for medicine, but after going public, that became the company's main goal.
The reality is to have a real impact in healthcare, you need to get scale.
Well, scale is something you know a lot about because I know that's what you've been focused on
Yes.
in the last few years. And you understand that you can't just have sort of a one-man band with just the kids.
Right.
You need more than that.
In the early days, 23andMe was early, and it took us a long time to get the kind of scale that we have now. And I think with scale, everything changes.
With all of that new investment, they shifted their focus from selling these ancestry tests to now aggressively pushing into the healthcare market. And just a few years after going public, the very fear of what could happen with all of that genetic data was realized in 2023 when 23andMe suffered a massive data breach.
A major cybersecurity breach at 23andMe led to personal information from millions of people going up for sale on the dark web.
The names, locations, and ethnicities of millions of 23andMe users went up for sale last week on the dark web following the data breach, which the company confirmed in an online statement.
Your DNA information can be used in so many negative ways.
So how do you think 23andMe reacted to this whole situation? I'll give you a hint. It was your fault. No, seriously, they literally blamed the customers for why this breach happened. They basically said, yeah, you shouldn't have reused your old passwords. As if that somehow justifies your own company's security failures with super sensitive information. And you could imagine that things didn't pan out too well for them after that. They had to cough up $30 million to settle a lawsuit over the breach, and then the CEO tried to take the company private. Yeah, that move was so reassuring that nearly all the company's board members just resigned. They saw a sinking ship and they said, I'm out.
In September, her entire board of 7 independent directors suddenly resigned, saying in a public letter they wholeheartedly support the company's mission, but it is also clear that we differ on the strategic direction for the company going forward.
You see, 23andMe was already a tough sell because it's a one-time use product. I mean, once you get your ancestry results from the company, what is there left to buy again? And when you combine that with all the bad PR that the company's been getting lately, how are you going to get any new customers on board to buy your product? This is the time where the CEO has to step up and prove to everybody that you guys are worrying about nothing. And the company, it's doing fantastic.
The company, once worth $6 billion, has lost 98% of its value and laid off 40% of its staff. This morning, we have an exclusive interview with Ann Wojcicki, who still remains very optimistic about the future of 23andMe.
Headlines about 23andMe are not good. I know you know it. Headlines say you're fighting for survival, company is sinking fast, burning through cash so fast that you probably won't be around next year.
What is happening with your company?
Fundamentally, if I look at the company over the last couple of years, I continue to execute. I make really interesting research discoveries. I have a phenomenal team. So we're surrounded by the eye of the storm and all the press and what's out there. But internally, I feel like I'm still executing and I'm still driven.
Okay, so externally, everything looks like a disaster. Yeah, we get it. But internally, everything is fine. Well, what is everybody worried about? I mean, this is like seeing if the CEO was inside of a burning building right now, I could imagine her going like, guys, it's just a little bit toasty in here. Like, why is everyone panicking all of a sudden?
Is the company still viable, in your opinion?
100%.
Is it?
Yes, I definitely I believe in the company. I believe in the long-term mission, but I believe it's essential for us to restructure.
A year from now, 23andMe will be?
A year from now, 23andMe will be growing and thriving.
5 years from now, 23andMe will be?
We'll transform healthcare.
All right.
Yeah, so it hasn't even been a full year since that interview happened. And now, 23andMe is filing for bankruptcy protection. Their CEO has stepped down. And they're trying to sell off whatever assets that they have left to the highest bidder available, which is exactly why everybody is losing their minds. Because if they sell your genetic data to a different company, that other company can do whatever the hell they want with your data. They don't have to follow whatever terms and conditions that 23andMe placed for anybody that was purchasing their product. They could just make up their brand new terms and conditions if they want to.
That's when concerns of what could happen to users' data started surfacing. On Friday, the Attorney General of California, where 23andMe is headquartered, urged customers to request their information be purged. He says they should consider invoking their rights and directing the company to delete their data and destroy samples of their genetic material. He said if 23andMe were involved in a bankruptcy, merger, or sale, personal data may also be sold or transferred. Log into your account, go to settings, scroll to delete data, and click permanently delete data.
So yeah, all that talk about personalized medicine and healthcare was just a fancy way of saying, we have your genetic data and we're going to find a way to make money off of it. So if you haven't deleted your data yet, well, we'll just get to see who walks away with the keys to your genetic future. That's pretty much all I got for now. Take care, everyone.